think this is one of the most unique news days of the entire year. This thing with Elon and Trump, absolutely in a Pier 6 brawl. Aaron Rodgers, and again, maybe because it's Donnie and Grok, Aaron Rodgers had to sign today.
Of course, right.
Maybe he thought he could quell the old X machine.
And it's very powerful.
But I'm telling you, I want my flowers on Aaron Rodgers.
Fucking Rodgers.
That's right. I want my credit on Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers announced today via his new team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You have a deal.
That he will be signing and he will be reporting to minicamp next week with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Up to minicamp next week. Let's get excited.
Yeah, don't try not to tear your Achilles walking on the field, okay?
Yeah.
Come on. He's not going to play. It's over. Shitting himself in a dirt hole. Well, I got news for you. Apparently not, because Aaron Rodgers is back, and I will continue to die on this hill. The Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers will contend for an AFC championship. They will be there at the end.
I agree.
And I think they are better than the Buffalo Bills. I think they are better than the Bungles. I think the biggest question is who you got? Do you got the Ravens? Do you got the Chiefs, or do you have the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because I think that honest to goodness, I think with Aaron Rodgers and what I think is one of the top 2 defenses in the NFL.
For the Steelers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that offense that they rebuilt, dude,
well,
they're better than the Ravens, I think.
All Aaron Rodgers hate aside, right? Taking an honest look at it. I think in fairness to what's gone on the last 2 seasons in the AFC as far as the AFC Championship is concerned, in fairness to that, I'm the Chiefs and the Bills are the favorite to win the AFC. They have to be. They've been there every year for the last 3 to 5 years. They're always in the conversation. And, I just think it would be irresponsible to say the Steelers, just because they're adding Aaron Rodgers and
cracking open a Schlitz.
Dude, crack your beer open. Today's one of those shows, not even running from it. I would have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I would have the Steelers. I would have the Bengals, and I would have
the Chicago Bears,
the Chicago Reinsdorfs. To me, it's the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Steelers. I think those 3 teams are level. I think Aaron Rodgers makes them that good, and I think we need to understand just how good DK is going to be for the Steelers. I need to understand what kind of dynamic do we have at play? Do we get, and this is something personally I would actually look forward to with Aaron Rodgers on the football field as a player. Do we get Aaron Rodgers of old where he is dominating teams with a snap count, getting free plays? Can DK be that bona fide number 1? Because in my opinion, for the Steelers to thrive offensively with Aaron Rodgers at this stage in his career, they need that dynamic of, hey, definite number 1 guy that will beat you in one-on-one if you leave him alone, and then really solid number 2. And I think if they can figure that out, they're going to be dangerous. But
best defense in the NFL right now, probably Denver.
Probably. I mean, the Steelers are certainly there.
If I think there's probably 5-6 defenses that could claim to be the best defense. I don't think there's any question if Joey Porter Jr. steps up and becomes the player that everybody expects him to be. Now, Darius Slay is also 59 years old. But if you said to me, what if I had to name the top 5 defenses, I would certainly have to put Denver, Philly, Buffalo has to be in the top 5. I think for certain,
Houston Texans got to be in the top 10 somewhere.
Close.
They've got a good defense.
I think if the Pittsburgh Steelers can learn to cover and Joey Porter can become a legitimate, consistent cover guy, snap in and snap out, that's a top 5 defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they're ready to. I truly think it's razor thin between Philadelphia and Denver as the two best defenses in the NFL, especially after the way the draft played out and free agency has played out. But my thing is Aaron Rodgers also makes the Pittsburgh Steelers defense better because they'll convert more first downs. And I think that's likely his biggest attribute. Now, he's not going to make the stupid decisions that Russ made. He's not going to be scared to throw the ball like Russ was.
Well, I think, hold on. I think this is a good point here. So for the team, like whether you want to look at the defense or the offense, Aaron Rodgers is the first quarterback they've had probably since Ben Roethlisberger that gives anybody the ability to say, hey, this team could potentially compete for a Super Bowl, depending on how things shake out. What do the injuries look like? What does the flow look like? He can, if everything were to go right and you were to stay relatively healthy, nobody stays 100% healthy, but relatively healthy, good enough to where most of your, like, let's say your offensive line survives the whole year, DK only misses a couple of weeks and you're in a good place. Like, yeah, they could potentially compete for a Super Bowl, and you haven't been able to say that.
But it will be the defense, because if they're not better than Baltimore on defense, who I think is that fifth team, right? If we're saying who the top 5 defenses are, I think it's close. And I think there's probably 8 teams to claim 5 spots. And we're going to have to get through September to figure out who actually is what. Mm-hmm. Is Denver a better defense? Can Houston be what they were? I know who Philly is. I know who Buffalo is. I know who Baltimore and Pittsburgh are, right? Like, I think it's going to be very close between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And I want Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball more than I want Lamar throwing the ball. It's as simple as that.
The reality is he's going to throw it more than Lamar is going to throw it.
Yeah, and mainly they don't have a great running back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
I also, without knowing their schedule right off the top of my head, I also think you got to throw the Chiefs in there just with Spags. Talent-wise, they're not as good as the other defenses, but scheme-wise with Spags, they are very difficult to handle.
Does anybody, and if somebody could look it up for me, anybody know where the Pittsburgh Steelers open the season? Anybody know? Anybody have any ideas? Maybe you could just check Espen real quick, pull it up on your phone. Huh. Anybody? I'm pretty sure it's New York Jets.
How does Aaron Rodgers do this every
September
year,
7th at 11 a.m.
Every year, bro.
1 o'clock Eastern.
Well, it's must-watch TV in week 1.
But look at their schedule. Their schedule has winnable. If you're an elite team, their schedule has winnable games. You'll beat the Jets. Home for the Seahawks, at the Pats, Vikings. Now, another really good defense, but they don't have a quarterback. That's a huge issue, because I don't care what anybody says. Say what you want about free Harbaugh, free scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind anyway that J.J. McCarthy cannot perform at the level that Sam Darnold did. I just don't know how you would even get close to that.
Yeah.
If he's half as good as Sam Darnold, are they a playoff team? I think it's really close.
Yeah,
because I think Detroit's going to be good again.
Bears are going to be way better.
Bears are better, and I think Green Bay is going to be better.
Yeah, what's the old saying? Every other year team, and here we are.
Yeah, but anyway, so the point is, I think they have a potential to start 9-0. At the Jets, home for the Seahawks, at the Patriots, Vikings, Browns, at the Bengals. That's their one potential loss. Packers and Colts. I think that trip to Cincinnati and then their 9th game on Sunday Night Football we should still be in San Diego, but our owners are scumbags who hired a scumbag head coach, the Los Angeles Chargers. That's going to be a tough game. And their schedule gets remarkably more difficult in the second half, because after the Charger game on November 9th, Bengals, at the Bears, Bills, at the Ravens, Dolphins, at the Lions, Browns, Ravens. Damn. So you better run out to like 8-9-0 if you want to have a chance to win the division and win the AFC.
Yeah, because I think that's the biggest thing. Are you even going to get out of your division? Because that division is not easy.
They're going to get out of their division, and I think they're going to get out of their division because I don't buy Cincinnati at this point. I mean, I really like Shamar Stewart. I think that was a very good pick. But I don't love that they drafted Demetrius Knight so high in the second. Don't love that. And if I look at Baltimore, I don't know that Baltimore, after Malachi Starks, Malachi Starks is going to be a stud. But Mike Green down in their draft, I don't think there's a starter on that team for the Ravens. And they're really deep. LaJohntay Wester obviously is a wide receiver who can make an impact on that team. And I actually think Carson Vincent, the Alabama A&M tackle that everybody raved about, well, he wound up in Baltimore, and there's a chance he's going to play there. But if we're really looking at that division, the question is how many impact players did the Steelers get in the draft? And I think Derek Harmon from Oregon is a monster on the defensive line. I think he is going to be absolutely crazy good. Jack Sawyer, the fourth, you guys all know him. He's going to contribute. There is no question about that. And I'm really interested to see how Caleb Johnson does, because you were the guy at Iowa. They need a running back. That job's available in Pittsburgh. That job's available. Reps are available. Are you going to be comfortable handing the ball to a rookie and asking him to carry your load?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I do think too, if you think about who Aaron Rodgers has been, and obviously it depends on the scheme, right? This isn't unique to Aaron, but the running back quotient for Aaron Rodgers has always been an important one. When you think about how much he likes to throw it in the flat, when you think about his ability, because one of his strengths obviously is reading the defense and knowing when to check it down, knowing when to get the defense, draw the defense offside, just manipulating things. I mean, that's what has made him so successful. And so when you talk about rookies at, the running back position as an example, that's not as big a deal as it would be if it was like a wide receiver or certainly an offensive lineman, but it still has an impact. And I think that, the biggest thing that they have to avoid is injuries, and that's not unique to them. But
Aaron Rodgers has to avoid it. If Watt stays healthy and Rodgers stays healthy, that team's going to win the division.
Yeah,
because I think they will be better than Baltimore.
How many years do you think he can play? Because if let's say they go out and they get to the AFC Championship, but they lose, if you're Aaron Rodgers, do you run it back? I mean,
I don't think you do. I think you got to take it 1 year at a time, because if he winds up, I mean, dude, what happened in New York? I know we all go back to when he hurt himself, like the first 8 seconds into the game.
Which, by the way, was really unfortunate. I would wish that on no one.
Yeah, it's a freak injury.
Yeah.
You have to look at his numbers last year when he played a majority of the snaps, and he played really well in a shitty system and offense, much of his making.
With a lot of rookies.
And not a lot of talent. So my point is, I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to get hurt. The guy knows how to work. He knows how to be in shape. He trains his body. I get the UFO, government-created HIV. I totally get the weird stuff. When it comes to football, and that's what certain people, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, I really am not singling anybody out. Certain people cannot separate the UFO and the HIV. I hate when it does that on its own. The HIV stuff from Aaron Rodgers, the football player.
I'm not even wearing pastels today.
It's a dark day for you. Yeah. It's a dark day for you. Donnie took an ass beating. And so you're in a situation where,
it's difficult. No question. It's difficult.
I think there is no question in my mind. There is no question that Aaron Rodgers is somebody who, for better or for worse, and whether you like him or not, that guy's really good at playing quarterback. And I think it's almost impossible to overlook the fact that last year he played 17 games and threw for 3,897 yards. And more to the point, without a real established offensive line and without elite wide receiver play, he threw 28 touchdowns against 11 picks.
Yeah.
Now he had a dominant running back, but I mean, the guy can still play the game. And everybody was calling him, to be an MVP in his last year in Green Bay. His numbers last year were better than his last year in Green Bay. Same amount of games, very similar number of reps. Nobody was talking about him as an MVP last year. oh, he's a bust, he's done, he's too old, he's always hurt. Well, it turns out that's not the case because his numbers last year were actually really good. One of the better quarterbacks in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
And I know people hate that, and I know you guys are rooting against him. But you take the crapping himself in a dark, dirty hole thing away, and Aaron Rodgers can still play quarterback in the NFL.
I agree.
I think it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. And you know what, Eric? I think he's 76 years old, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He might be 78 by the time the season starts. Nobody?
Something like that. I mean, I don't know.
I think, what is he, 36?
Dangerous misinformation.
Or something like that. I mean, listen, I think it is very clear to me that Aaron Rodgers, he's on the wrong side of 35.
By a mile.
Right. I mean, I don't, let me look. How old is
41?
Hey, Siri. How old is Aaron fucking Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Born in 1983 then, right? 40, 83, 93, 2003.
83, yeah. Yep.
2023.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
He's 41 years old. He's going to be 42 this season. That's a lot of miles on the tires, man. So, Eric, that's a really good question. Rodgers isn't an artist. He's a choke artist. That's a big question. Can the guy win big games? He didn't do it in Green Bay very often, right? I mean, you lost a lot of games, and you lost them at your crib,
but
too.
You were in the playoffs constantly.
You were playing in important games, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think the first question we need to answer is not whether they can get to the AFC Championship game. The first question we need to answer is, what does he look like in week 5 or week 6? What does he look like after he's been playing for a month, taking some hits?
What's he look like in November and December when Patrick Queen is running him down?
Yes. What does that look like? And what does the team look like? Because I agree with you based on the schedule, you do have to get out to a 8-9-0 start. And if you don't, if you're 6-3, that's
it's a
still
huge
good,
problem.
but that's not what it needs to be.
It can't be 6-3. If you lose 3 of those first 9 games, you're done. Because the end of their season is incredibly difficult. And I look at, I'm just going to tell you now, Baltimore's schedule is the exact opposite. They listen to the Super Bowl contenders on the Buffalo or the Baltimore Ravens schedule. The Bills, that's 1. Browns, Lions, that's 2. At the Chiefs, that's 3. Texans, 4. Rams, Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals.
Bungles.
Steelers, that's 5. At the Bengals, Patriots, at the Packers, Steelers, that's 6 Super Bowl contender games against Super Bowl contenders. 6. That is incredibly difficult. And you start looking at the Ravens and you're like, okay, well, if we are who we say we are, can you really make the case that defense can hold up? Roquan's got to be healthy. He's the beginning and the end of everything on that defense.
Yes.
Because when it's Roquan Smith, and I remind you that they re-signed Kyle Van Noy, which is a huge deal. My feeling is that those are the 2 best linebackers in the division, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't have delusions of grandeur that he is going to rule the world. But if Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are running their faces into each other and they're going head to head, dude, I'm here for it.
Dude, there's no question that there is going to be must-watch football that Aaron Rodgers is involved in.
You're going to watch.
And you're going to watch. And I will definitely be excited to watch it. The point is, and what I really hope we don't get is a team that's an environment where they've underachieved for whatever reason. I'm not even saying it's Aaron's fault, but for whatever reason, and then we get the media games and we get just that negative ass vibe out of the team. That's what I don't want to go through with this. I'm here for, hey,
legitimate concern.
Potentially his last year. Hey, he's going on one final run. He's Mission Impossible-ing this thing. Like, we get it, dude. We get it. You're going on one final run here. And I hope that he gets the opportunity. But yes, I agree. He's got to prove he can stay healthy. I think, let's see what Mike Tomlin's behavior is like, right? I mean, this is the first legitimate quarterback he's had in how long? With all due respect to Russell Wilson. I mean, honestly, you haven't really had a stud at quarterback since Ben. And I think
I agree with that.
That's a really difficult place to be. And so this squad's been grinding and trying to work through football seasons without a quarterback. I mean, dude, tiny hands Mason Rudolph, like, dude, I get it, bro. You want to have
tiny hands.
You want to have Miles
Mason
Garrett.
Rudolph.
You want to have Miles Garrett throwing his helmet at you at one point on the football field on, I believe, Monday Night Football, if I remember correctly.
No. He didn't throw it at Mason Rudolph. He ripped it off of Rudolph's head and beat that ass over the head with his helmet.
What are you, nuts?
That was incredible.
So my point is, this team has seen some stuff, and it'd be nice for the NFL if we had, Ravens, Steelers, and hell, even the Browns. It'd be nice if the Browns were better.
But again, I'm telling you, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and espouse the greatness of Buffalo. How many teams in the AFC are legitimate? Sitting here on June 5th, we're not even at Father's Day yet.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams are legitimate contenders in the AFC? Well, there's no question that the Ravens and the Steelers are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I have no idea what to make of the Buffalo Bills. I don't. And it's not that it's not even all on Josh. What I'm telling you is, when I look at guys like, I don't know, pick your favorite quarterback. Is Josh Allen better than? He is better than most of those teams, of those quarterbacks, right? I think we can all get down with that. But if I said to you, even in his division, they should win that division by multiple games. They should win that division. Are the Bills going to lose a home game this year? I don't think they probably will. I think they go undefeated at home again. The problem is, who do they start with? Well, the Baltimore Ravens. That's who they start with. And then you look at the Bills are at the Raven or home for the Ravens, at the Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Patriots, at the Falcons, at the Panthers, and then they come home for the Chiefs. They're probably better than the Chiefs in November, especially in Orchard Park, right? I would think. But they get the Eagles at home. So, I mean, they have some tough games at home. I think they should probably go undefeated at home if they're a Super Bowl caliber football team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's that much of a stretch. I don't. But I also start looking at the offense on that team. Are you telling me that Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman and Josh Palmer, those are the guys that you want to carry Josh Allen? How do you not have one of the best wide receivers in football? Well, because you're a defensive team coached by a defensive coach. So I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens and the Pitts. I think they're 1-1A. I think they're level. Their defenses are amazing. They've got the two best linebackers in the conference. I love guys like Kyle Van Noy. I think he's incredibly intelligent and still playing really high-level football.
Yep.
But you give me Watt, Queen. I think Joey Porter Jr. is the X factor in Pittsburgh. If he doesn't step up, they don't win games.
Agreed.
Because they couldn't cover last year. But I look at the defense in Buffalo. They're back to what they need to be. Joey Bosa, don't forget, Joey Bosa is a Buffalo Bill. That makes them better. You put Bosa with Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver. They're exponentially a better defense.
Yes.
So now they have a lot more depth and quality. That's going to help them. We'll see. I never mind the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
they're going to figure it out.
That's why I say on paper, this looks really even. Let's see how this pans on the field. Because I think what we do know in the NFL is that it's never about who you are in August. It's always about who you are in December and
always
in November. And I think that, I again, for the record, I want the Steelers to do well with this, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned. I am concerned. I think that,
But is he still Aaron effing Rodgers? I'm telling you he is.
Yeah, I think he has that in him. What I want to know is
what
who
he
are
does off
you?
the field is
Dude,
his own business.
He is a Zin packing machine, I'm sure. Okay.
Anita, Dick, and me.
What I want to know is
Janus.
Buddy capable of leading the team when things aren't going well?
Is Buddy.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Ayahuasca, first team all, Joe Rogan podcast guy. That guy. Yeah. Yeah, that guy.
Separate it.
You
have to separate.
Well, I've spent 29 minutes separating it. He's.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah, I'm Brent's
child.
due. I'm taking care of him, dude.
So Ravens or Steelers?
I would take the Ravens now. That opinion will
Wow.
change if they prove that they are that good.
Okay.
Because I also think DK hasn't been in this kind of situation before.
No, he's never had this kind of expectations. He's
So,
got to be.
you know.
He's got to be one of the best wide receivers in football.
Yeah,
Not potentially. Not he's got the ability. He has to actually
Yeah, it's time to go.
perform as one of the best wide receivers in football, because Aaron effing Rodgers is going to need him. And bros, you guys know I don't like telling you that I'm right, and I told you so.
Do you know what that's like these days?
DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skoranek are a pretty good 5-symbol wide receivers.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
And Freiermuth and Darnell Washington are a pretty good 1-2 punch at tight end. With Aaron Rodgers, the question is, can they run the football? Can Jalen Warren, keep his job of being just the best 500-yard running back in football? Or does Caleb Johnson take his job from him? You didn't draft a running back not to give him the ball. So anyway, all right, let's get your thoughts in here. I see everybody trying to hit me on the Bears. Bros,
What do you want to talk about with
the
Bears, bro? Like what's the conversation?
You guys can sit here and you can try and pick apart Caleb Williams all you want. And I know, again, that Caleb Williams, he sucks, right? He is terrible. He's the worst. He is a bust. Funny, at the exact same numbers as Jaden Daniels, who won the Rookie of the Year, and is the best draft pick anybody's ever seen in the history of professional football. Jaden Daniels. Round 1, second pick. Oh my God, Jaden Daniels. He of that offensive line, Jaden Daniels. He of Terry McLaurin and Brian Robinson, and, great receivers, great running back, great offensive line, really good defense. That guy, he's the best quarterback anybody's ever seen drafted. Caleb put up almost the exact same numbers as he did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to have the fight. And you can talk about Caleb Williams crying into his mom's titties all day long. I'm here for it. You want to talk about his nail polish? I'm here for
Are
it.
they built for speed or built for comfort, Mom?
Yeah. Did you motorboat those bad boys? Like, hey man, I'm all about it. Right? Again, just like with Aaron Rodgers, put the Joe Rogan crapping in a dirt hole behind you.
That's every day.
And Caleb Williams happens to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, compared to based on his age and his draft position. And I have no question that Caleb Williams is at 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns. And I would remind you, and I know it doesn't matter because he sucks and he cries on his mom's titties. He only threw 6 interceptions last year.
Garbo.
He sucks. He's a bust. He
Garbo.
He was sacked 68 times last year. So keep coming with your stupidity on him crying on his mama's titties. I'm happy to have the conversation. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. And in fact, I hope you do.